kony?
Or phony.
Who hasn't heard of Kony 2012? The campaign was started by the Invisible Children group, and their short film quickly reached 100 million views in just 6 days, and 3.7 million of those viewers pledged their support to aid in the effort to capture and put an end to Joseph Kony's war crimes and crimes against humanity. The documentary calls attention to grossly exaggerated numbers of child soldiers and the crimes committed against the Ugandan people. The actual number of children was far less, the number used representing the total number of child soldiers over the existence of the LRA, instead of just over Kony's reign. The documentary portrays Kony as a one-man band. The narration style suggests that he is, in a way, the sole responsible figure. The focus tends to be on him and not the war raging within Uganda itself. Kony is not the sole responsible person for this war and for the use of child soldiers, mutilations, and rapes of children as is portrayed by the documentary. It is depicted that his ideals, his ways, and his rules are the most influential factor in the ongoing conflict. Blame is placed almost exclusively on him. Contact with Ugandan officials and citizens proves this as false. One interviewee from Uganda stated that the war is more than just this one man, and that more must be done than just the capture of Kony. They went further into detail, stating that Kony is just a figure of the LRA, and that his removal from power would not necessarily solve the issue of the war, since the LRA would still stand without him. The documentary also uses several cinematic techniques to make the content seem more daunting and horrifying. The graphics chosen tend to be dark and black and white. There are also comparisons to Hitler and the Nazi regime. Photos of the worst kinds of crimes are shown, all mixed heavily with Kony's face, which furthers the psychological aspect of him being associated with evil and crime. Also, the serious and haunting sounds used with the visuals set the scene for an exaggerated painting of reality. For example, if the graphics of the documentary are taken and overlapped with some silly music, you see that it is given a much lighter tone and it doesn't seem so unhappy and pressing anymore. In the same respect, when the dark imagery and use of comparison of Kony with his crimes and with other criminals is taken away, and the speech is paired with lighthearted imagery, the tone of the message seems much more lighthearted as well.
Because when we heard about injustice, we cared, but we didn't know what to do. Too often,
the emotional appeal of children crying or concentration camps as a visual is lost. In this way, just the simple facts are being laid out, and we can separate our emotions from reality. Also, the use of individuals in the documentary lends to a personal note. Young Jacob, a friend of the filmmaker and a citizen of Uganda, shares his sad story, and you cannot help but feel bad for the poor child. This clever tactic makes one empathize with him and therefore want to help in the situation. Through these tactics, they managed to assemble a very convincing hoax. Eventually, through others' research, this was brought to light. While the war in Uganda was true, the centralized figure Invisible Children made out of Kony was completely inaccurate to what was actually happening at the time.
Hey man, where's Kony?